If you're around 60 years old and you've saved anywhere from $400,000 to $700,000 for retirement, this is something that you're going to want to get right before you retire. Because I can tell you, people who are in this exact situation, the biggest mistake that they make isn't how much they've saved. It isn't about their portfolio balance. Rather, it's how they plan to take this money and distribute this money in retirement. Let's take a couple. They're both 60 years old. They've saved $520,000 and they plan to retire this year. And their plan's simple. They would like to withdraw $2,500 from their portfolio per month and adjust that for inflation each and every year. Sounds reasonable, right? Well, the problem is this. The problem is they haven't accounted for what happens if the market drops significantly in the first few years of retirement. How does this impact our portfolio, our plan, and our monthly income? If you retire and the market drops significantly and you haven't properly planned for how you plan to take this money out in retirement, and you're relying on that money to fund that monthly paycheck, that $2,500, what you're effectively doing is you're locking in those losses, those market losses. And over a long period of time, what this is doing is this is reducing the amount of money that you have in your portfolio. And over time, this can effectively shorten your retirement, your paycheck by 5, 6, 7, or even 10 years. This is what many people going into retirement don't realize. It's not necessarily about the amount of money you've saved. Sure, you need a portfolio that's big enough to subsidize your retirement, but rather it's more important to focus on how is this money behaving once you start pulling money to subsidize that retirement. And it's really about the first 3 to 5 years. Those are the most critical years. And these aren't the most critical years because of market returns. Rather, these are the most critical years because of timing. Two people can have the exact same portfolio with the exact same returns over time, but they could have completely different outcomes based on when those returns happen. Do you have negative returns early on in retirement versus positive returns? And depending on how much you're pulling out, this can dramatically affect your portfolio size in retirement. So instead of just withdrawing a fixed amount of money each and every month, each and every year, we want to create an income strategy that adjusts. And this might include pulling from more stable assets when the market is down, giving your investments time to recover before you start taking withdrawals, or structuring your income in layers instead of relying on one source. See here, the goal is simple. The goal is to create a paycheck from your portfolio without putting unnecessary pressure on that portfolio early on in retirement. Because if you get those early years right, if you get those first 3 to 5 years of retirement right, the rest of your plan becomes easier. And this is where a lot of people struggle, especially those who did a great job at saving. They've built this portfolio for 30, 40 plus years. And see, they did a great job at that accumulation, building that nest egg. But no one showed them how to turn this portfolio into an income stream for their retirement. So what happens? You default to the general rules of thumb that you see online. And yeah, sometimes those work, but sometimes those general rules of thumb don't work. And when they don't, there's really not a lot of time to recover. So if you're in that range, if you're 5 years out from retirement and you have $400,000 to $700,000 saved for retirement, and you aren't 100% sure on how to withdraw your money, how your income in retirement should be structured, or how you plan to withdraw money or account for a market downturn, inflation increasing, your Social Security benefit getting reduced. Guys, this is exactly what I do with people who are in that exact situation. And as your partner along this retirement journey, what I would love to do for you is go over and clearly identify, how long will my portfolio last in retirement? How much income can I reasonably take from my portfolio? How can I structure my portfolio in a way where we don't take on unnecessary risk, but we build a plan to where we have enough to last our entire retirement? So if this is something that you would like clarity on, there's a link in the description, and I invite you to click it and schedule a time to talk. This is one of those areas in your life, one of those areas in retirement where making just one adjustment can have a profound impact on how you live your retirement. And it's really worth getting this right the first time. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.